This is the 12 match races of Christmas, where us, the Triple Clowns, present to you some dream matchups. We are constantly working on original and I think groundbreaking horse racing shows that are informative and also, at the end of the day, fun, guys. So hit that like, subscribe button, and that notification bell. Also, follow us on Twitter at Clowns Triple and all other social media platforms, because we are going to bring you new shows. That's right, new shows that include horse racing conspiracies and odd stories, handicapping 101. We're going to do live picks from the track, and of course, our show where we interview great guests and we do some horse racing skits that are a good time. Support us so we can keep going, trailblazing in the horse racing industry. From AJ Ryder, Sarah Marie, and of course, myself, G. Randall Johnson. Happy holidays, and let's get it on with the 12 match races of Christmas. All right, everybody, we are here again, and I would do everybody a disservice if I didn't bring this man on. We haven't seen him in a while, I have to say, and I know our record's not very good right now in our 12 match races of Christmas, but we need to climb a mountain. So why not bring on
Washington Generals? You guys are the Washington Generals, right?
Yes, we are, and you're the Harlem Globetrotters, and that would be
the king of the mountain,
the man of the mountain. Was it the king of the mountain?
We call him the king.
All right, king of the mountain, Mark Patterson. Mark, how's everything going out there in West Virginia land? How's everything going?
Things are really good at the mountain. Had a great year, handling $1.5 million a day. Very popular, more so than ever. But I'm on the sidelines right now because my son Shane tested positive for COVID. So I'm out for the rest of the year, but things are still going strong. Got full fields, deep fields.
All right, good. And stay healthy, Mark. And that well, you know what that means to us? Mark's going to have more time because he's going to be sitting in this room. So we're going to use this for everybody to get Mark more on the show. He's looking now like he's about to hang up. He's actually
Mark's
looking
like, I'm
out
of here. This is
but look, I mean, this is the first time me and Mark have ever had anything in common. Both
there you go.
Because of COVID.
Yes, this is
really. You know what? I'm sidelined, but I did not test positive. But my son.
That's great.
So.
Well,
stay healthy, Mark.
And shout out to Shane. I hope
better every day. Yeah.
Fantastic. That's the best news.
Absolutely. That's all that matters. You stay healthy as well. Mountaineer will be there.
But they do miss you. There's a lot of talk online of missing their mountain man.
So that's right.
I get a lot of texts, but nobody's indispensable, and the place sure didn't fall apart without me.
I would say if there's anybody that's not indispensable to a certain track, Mark, I would think it's 100% you.
Yes. And I do have to bring up, before we get into our race, that my father, Big Gary, wanted me to tell Mark, loves Mark, by the way, become a fan of him, and said, you know, Mark kills the odds all the time because he's such a good handicapper and he gives out these odds. Why wouldn't he be like and start giving out horses that whatever so he can make more money handicapping? This is how Big Gary's mind thinks.
Well,
and Big Gary, we know.
He's right. You know, the first advice I give people, and I'm not going to win any awards for modesty when I say this, but first advice I give serious players is only bet when you disagree with me, really. Only make a serious bet when you disagree with me, because my picks get so underlaid, man. I can't clear my throat about a horse without the odds plummeting. And it's so self-defeating, you know. If they're 7-1 when I start to talk, by the time they're posted on screen as my top pick, you're talking 5-2, 3-1 or something like that.
That's gotta be such a huge compliment, though. The moment you move the lines, I mean, like
so frustrating.
When I give out a pick, like
it's
tonight,
an overlay, and it becomes an overlay
tonight,
when AJ does it.
Tonight, when I bet the Oakland Raiders or the Las Vegas Raiders, that line all of a sudden moved to even money. Like it's a pick'em game now with them and the Chargers. That's what I'm saying. Is when I pick like that,
they go against
yes.
AJ. Which makes sense.
It's such a compliment, man.
It is flattering, and everybody misses you out there in Mountaineer Nation. I know that. We know a couple guys who do a show talking live about these guys. Shout out to them.
Mother Nation is a great nation.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
We know that. We know that for a fact. I mean, we've gotten people from Mountaineer Nation, and
it's so much who I have become and who I am. Since Mountaineer is a really special place for a whole lot of reasons.
It's such a fun track.
You know what? It just has a certain almost indefinable cool. I think when we did our interview last time, I referred to it as a James Dean of racetracks, quote unquote. And you know what? It's my career. It really is who I am. I want to be one of those people. I want to serve those people. And I can't think of a more noble undertaking.
Well, you obviously do a good job, but let's see today how good of a job Mark can do. Because today we are arguing a little bit out of the box. I think this is.
I like this one, though.
We're going to argue one of Mark's favorite horses, and that would be Dr. Fager, and against one of the legends of racing, and that would be the filly, Ruffian. Dr. Fager against Ruffian, 1.25 miles on the dirt. Let's go tail and tape. Tail and tape right now. And in the red corner, hailing from Florida, with an incredible record of 22 starts, 18 wins, 2 seconds, and 1/3. His major wins include the Cowden Stakes, Gotham Stakes, Withers Stakes, Arlington Classic, New Hampshire Sweepstakes Classic, Hawthorne Gold Cup, Vosburg Stakes, Rosenbend Handicap, Californian Stakes, Suburban Handicap, Whitney Handicap, Washington Park Handicap, United Nations Handicap. This is your 1971 U.S. Racing Hall of Famer, Dr. Fager. And in the blue corner, hailing from Paris, Kentucky, with an incredible record of 11 starts, 10 wins, and 1 did not finish. Her major wins include the Fashion Stakes, Astoria Stakes, Spinaway Stakes, Sorority Stakes, Comely Stakes, Acorn Stakes, Mother Goose Stakes, Coaching Club American Oaks, U.S. Racing Hall of Famer in 1976. She is the Queen of the Fillies, Queen of the Century, Queen of Racing, Queen of the Track, Filly of the Century, the Super Filly, the Black Terror, Ruffian.
Let's go right now.
We're going to the rules. We got to go to the rules. We're editing in the rules. AJ, give him the rules. Somebody get a hold of the wild man from West Virginia and give him the rules.
Ready. What part of my on-screen persona strikes you as a respecter of rules?
Right?
And now we're going to the rules.
All right. Well, our contest consists of 3 rounds. The first round, each contestant in our show will have an opportunity to present their opening argument. Each opening argument will be limited to 1 minute only. The second round is the Q&A with the judges. Each judges will get an opportunity to ask each contestant as many questions about each horse as they'd like. There is no time limit on this round. The final round consists of a free-for-all battle royale lasting 1 minute 30 seconds, where each contestant goes back and forth presenting their argument, and well, we'll just see what happens then. And at the end of the 3 rounds, the remaining 2 judges will then confer and decide our winner.
I think we're all ready. Mark, for the official
I was not
response
expecting this because
to our audience.
He just said he was gonna pick Sarah, which we all
Okay.
And I was ready. That's
Okay,
right.
let's go. Let's
Now
go.
that I'm
All
in
right,
this,
so
okay,
Mark-
let's go, Mark.
All right.
So who, Mark, your choice always.
Official for the audience. Mark, we got to hear it.
No,
Who-
who goes first? Yes. So.
Yeah.
I'm taking Dr. Fager, and I will defer on the kickoff and let AJ have the ball.
All right,
Wow.
AJ.
All right, AJ. Round 1. We'll start.
Am I allowed
now.
to smirk? Can I smirk?
You can
Yes.
do whatever you want, man.
You can smirk. You can make hand gestures. It doesn't matter.
A lot of times you flip them off.
We will
That's
get-
what we don't care.
All right, AJ. Let's start with your opening argument now.
Okay, so Ruffian. I mean, this is a name that more people, I am sure, know more than Dr. Fager. Ruffian at least had a movie made out of her. What did Dr. Fager ever have made out of her? Ruffian, ESPN said, clearly, this is the horse that needs to be talked about. You want to know why? Because it's the horse that swept the Triple Tiara for the 4th time in history and set stakes record in eight stakes races she ever ran. Now let's talk about these races, because this is a match race at a mile and a quarter. Clearly, at a mile and a half, she more than knows what she can do. Winning at a mile and a half in the American Oaks, her last race before the tragic match race that ever happened. But if I want to compare the two, I'm looking at a mile and an eighth, the Mother Goose, 147.8. Dr. Fager never even broke 148 at a mile and an eighth. So if I had to compare the two in the closest way I can, I get to finish my sentence. I always let you finish.
Okay, yeah, but you keep going on.
If I compare the two in the closest way I can, clearly Dr. Fager has no chance in time on closing down the Ruffian.
Can I go?
All right.
Well, you wait to start the clock.
All right,
ready, Mark?
Ready
go
to
ahead.
go.
Obviously, Ruffian is a bigger name because she's greater in death than she ever was in life. You want to talk about speed? Who could run how fast? Dr. Fager ran a mile in 1:32.1. That record stood for about 30 years, dude. And that ain't racehorse speed. That is race car speed. Dr. Fager also ran 7/8 in 1:20 and won with 139 pounds up. Dr. Fager is the only horse in modern history to hold 4 titles simultaneously. Want to talk versatility? Dr. Fager won at distances ranging from 5.5 to a mile and a quarter, everything in between. Dr. Fager ran 43 and change en route to winning, 20-1, which broke a 7-furlong track record by a full seconds. En route to his 32-1. He went half in 43-4. His breather was 7-3 to the 6th call. You want to talk about who could run out fast? What did Ruffian go? 51 and change in the coaching club American Oaks, towing a bunch of fillies, overmatched fillies behind her. Dr. Fager switched to turf and beat the immortal Fort Marcy and the great Advocator. Spotted them both at grandstand. Spotted Fort Marcy, was champion turf horse the previous year, like 16 pounds. Talk about Dr. Fager taking on a top flight iconic filly. He beat Gamely, who was 3 times in a row female handicap horse of the year on her turf at Hollywood Park by 3 lengths, which is a schooling, and spotted her 14 pounds. 14 pounds, which is 9 on this game.
Woo! Like it. I like it.
Wow.
All right. Nice round 1, guys. I'm impressed. Learning a lot here. All right. So this is ours when we can ask questions of
That's not
both
too bad,
of you.
AJ. You brought it, man. You brought it.
That's something coming from Mark.
I'm starting to not like you, which is a sign you're putting up a good debate, man.
All right. All right. So, Sarah, do you want to start with your questions?
I wish we all both had longer because there were so many things more I wanted to say.
Oh, me too.
You have the free for all. You have the battle royal
You
saved.
got round 3
I
to.
have done this more than once because most people pick me because they don't like
That's
me.
that's not true.
And
You're actually the least picked.
That's not
No.
true. I've been picked more than Sarah.
Yeah.
So
And I
you are
will
the least you're the least liked clown, right?
Yes, exactly.
Why does this not
And
surprise
what
me?
I'm saying is, it's hard to make that argument in a minute on the opening argument. It's hard. Like it's
It
difficult.
is.
Like so,
It is.
yeah, I get it.
Like I always say, the clowns we say balance because people like me, people love Sarah, and they hate AJ. So we have it all.
Most people don't like me. It's fine.
Yeah, so
I
we have it all.
know.
I get it.
All right, so
I get it.
let's start out with our questions. Sarah,
It's
you got
hard
one?
to like the pretty guy in the show.
This is
You know
why
what I
they
always say? You know what I always say? Sometimes straight up on the air, you take one look at my mug, and you got to know I know something about horse racing.
I love it.
There you go.
Oh, that's
I love
great. All right. Well, I do have a question. This is more for AJ, but Mark did bring up the minute 32 carrying 134 pounds. AJ, I want to know what your rebuttal
Is
is.
this for
to
me?
this.
Is this for me?
Because, mind you, this is a world record that was set.
Who gives a shit? Here's my argument on that. Because 100%, the two of you do not believe Gamine is the greatest horse of all time, which I do believe. Gamine, 132.55 in the mile. If you don't think that she is able to compete with either of these horses, then 100% obviously Ruffian is clearly in the game here because she ran 0.25 off of that world record.
Tracks are
time.
lightning nowadays, AJ. Tracks are lightning.
Arlington Park's not even in the consideration anymore.
Ruffian never carried more.
If-
Ruffian never
Whoa,
totaled
whoa,
more
whoa,
than
Mark,
122.
this question,
Is it my
this
turn?
question
Is it
is
my
for
turn?
me. This question was for me. You can have your time later. What
Okay.
I'm saying is, if you discredit me on Gamine, then you have to discredit Dr. Fager and his world record time because Gamine ran damn near the same one.
Is it my turn? Gamete
You
sounds
can,
like
you
a
can,
horse.
you can, you can, you
you
can
get a
respond to the
rebuttal.
same question.
Gamete sounds like a horse that Ruffian beat because Ruffian never beat anything. Hot and nasty, laughing bridge. You can't find a horse behind Ruffian that ever went on to do diddly. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Nothing. Ruffian beat a bunch of 2-year-old fillies who went on to be undistinguished. So yeah, I'll bet Gamine was on the undistinguished list of the horses that Ruffian banked with.
It's Swiss.
Dr. Fager, how about Damascus? How about Buckpasser? How about In Reality?
Who the
How
fuck
about
are
Fort
they?
Larson? How about Advocator? How about Gamely? How about Successor?
Legit,
Successor's-
never heard of any of them.
Successor's a really good horse, by the
So
way.
is
We
Buck
spoke
Passer.
with
names.
him.
Iconic
Yeah.
names that Dr. Fager ran against.
Yes, that's
And you
true.
want to talk about speed? What about fractions? Dr. Fager went 43 and change. Check it out, dude. You talk about interior speed, which is what a match race is going to be determined on. Number one, he was more tractable than Ruffian, who was never behind any call in her career. Thoroughbred horses are bullies. When things go their own way, they're up for the game, baby. That's when they want to rub it in. Not everything went Dr. Fager's way. Dr. Fager was outfooted to the first call, and 9 of his victories, that's a little known fact about him. He was tractable and could move to a rival and step by that rival. Twice en route to track record times, he won an interior fraction in 21 and change. 21 and change. Dude, that ain't a racehorse. That's a rocket ship. There's no way in the world she could have withstood that kind of pressure. No way under heaven could she have. She had a match race against Foolish Pleasure. Do you know what the program odds were? Foolish Pleasure was 4-5. Ruffian was 1-2. In actuality, Ruffian ended up 2-5 in her ill-fated match race effort, and Foolish Pleasure ended up 4-5, which
That's what
means
you're gonna
the
bring up.
wagering public gave Foolish Pleasure a 40% chance or so to beat Ruffian. And dude, it's just like Lloyd Benson said in the vice presidential debate to Dan Quayle, when Dan Quayle likened himself to the great JFK. He said, man, I knew John Fitzgerald Kennedy. You are no John Fitzgerald
You are no.
Kennedy. My man, I knew Foolish Pleasure. Foolish Pleasure was no Dr. Fager. In fact, Foolish Pleasure lost 6 of his next 10 races after the match race with Ruffian, in which he was accorded a darn near coin flip chance to go out there and beat the filly.
Okay, well, with that, I want to go on that a little bit for both of you, because we always ask this question usually, and I'm going to throw it out right now. And the question I'm going to ask is, so how do you think this breaks down? How do you think this goes to the first turn?
Okay,
And
here's the thing. Ruffian had no tractability. Ruffian had to be in front at all calls. Dr. Fager could be lightly rated, so Dr. Fager could have conceded her the lead and then gradually turned up the heat. There have never been internal fractions like Dr. Fager laid down. Check it out. He ran hard the whole way en route to these record-breaking clockings. He broke the 7H record by a full second, went the mile in a stratospheric 32-1, and along the way he goes 43-4. That's an interior quarter, 21-1, dude. Who does that? I think Spectacular Bid did it once. The kind of heat that Dr. Fager could have turned up on Ruffian would have been something she never dealt with and could not survive. So how I would picture it, around the first turn, maybe Ruffian hard pushed to get to the front. Dr. Fager epitomized what they refer to nowadays as high cruising speed. You should have Dr. Fager's picture next to that in the Thoroughbred lexicon, the Thoroughbred dictionary. Dr. Fager's cruising speed was 43 and change, 7 and change, 8 and change, 44 flat, interior quarters, 21 and change. And you know what? I really don't want to go there, but I have to because this is a debate. Ruffian was referred to as just a massive specimen, so impressive, so huge. She looked like a colt. She looked like an older male when she was 2 years old, and she was injury prone, guys. Ruffian actually had a hairline fracture in one of her hind legs, which concluded her 2-year-old season. And when she went down against Foolish Pleasure, I don't think that with all the heart and speed she has, I think it was too much for her legs. I don't think they could hold her massive, talented structure and big heart. I don't think they could hold it up at the rate of speed. She would have had to hit against Dr. Fager. And Exhibit A, I'm sorry to mention it, but against Foolish Pleasure, there was no Dr. Fager. Her body couldn't withstand it. One of her legs gave way. You got to bring soundness into any equation when you talk about thoroughbred racing. Dr. Fager was as durable as the day is long. Dr. Fager never took a bad step. And I really believe Ruffian had some issues with a hairline fracture in her hind leg when she was a 2-year-old, and also with her sad, tragic demise. I don't believe in the myth of the one bad step breakdown. I think that's something that horsemen use to cover themselves with the press so they're not vilified. I do believe she had issues, physical issues. And I think that what happened to her, first off, I don't think she would have even made the course against Dr. Fager if forced to hit his kind of gear. And I think sadly enough, I think her match race against Foolish Pleasure would be evidence to that effect.
Okay, AJ, how's that race going?
Well, I'm glad you kind of brought up the race where she had the hairline fracture in her 2-year-old season, because I do believe even with that hairline fracture, she ran a 108 in some change and set the track record with a hairline fracture. So going into exactly what you were talking about, what was that?
How come she never left New York, AJ?
What's that?
She ran out of her stall. Dr. Fager ran at like 9 different tracks.
She
Went to the
only
West Coast.
ran. I mean, how did she? I mean, you only have 11 races. She ran into her 3-year-old season, and that's it.
So you would agree she never proved that she could take her game on the road.
She never had the opportunity to. I would say that.
She never
but,
proved it.
but to say that she couldn't take her game on the road, the fact of the matter is she ran an 8 stakes races and set 8 stakes record, never lost a call. You don't think she can go anywhere else and do the same thing?
Do you know Tommy Trotter, the iconic racing secretary, when he gave Dr. Fager 139, had never assigned anywhere near that impost to another horse in any kind of a handicap race? Do you know that Ruffian only spotted her foe's weight? It was a minimal amount one time because it was an allowance header with pre-prescribed weights built right into the header. Non-winner since such and such a date of such and such an amount. Bottom line, she never totaled more than 123 pounds. And if I were you, I'd be real careful to choose the date of this race too, because the filly and mare allowance before September the 1st is 5 pounds. After September the 1st, 3 pounds. And baby, you better believe it would have made her a winner, but she would have needed every ounce of that 5 pounds to compete against the immortal Dr. Fager.
I'm sorry, are you done talking during
It was
my
something
time
more
now?
than a horse.
Are you
Dr.
done
Fager.
talking during my time now? Because I would like to continue.
Well, you know what?
I'm going to sit back and shush myself, AJ, so we can.
I'm kind of thinking we need to roll
Boys,
in.
good pals.
Again, I will take this.
Yeah.
I mean, average margin of victory was over 8 lengths.
AJ, please answer this.
Career.
AJ,
Her over.
She was not battle tested. What you're telling me is, unlike Dr. Fager, I think what is only.
I mean, it would be nice if
AJ,
I cut you off during my time. That'd be great.
Okay, all right. Please, AJ, answer the question.
I don't even remember what the question was anymore.
The question is, how does the race unfold?
Proven under fire.
Again, how does the race unfold?
Yes.
That's the question. You're talking about a horse who never lost a call in 11 races. How the fuck do you think the race unfolds?
What happens when she sees hindquarters, a foreign sight to her, and the doctor would have shown
you
her
want to
hit,
talk
trust
about
me.
All right.
Dr. Fager in
Hold on.
AJ, we're going right
AJ,
into it.
pause.
pace?
Pause. We're going
All
right
right,
into it.
guys.
That's the only time he lost.
We're going right into
We're
it.
going to roll into
Round 3.
round 3, the battle
This is the
royale.
battle royal. Go.
In whichever races did she run an interior quarter of 21-1? And whichever wins did she hit the half in 44?
Hold on.
Half in
Give me about
43 and 4?
2.5 seconds. And let's see. Dr. Fager, when he lost in what? Opening fractions of 22.5, quarter mile and 45.5.
You
And
have
then guess
reference
what?
material.
Damascus
Funny.
beat him by
I call
10.5
foul.
lengths.
I call foul. He's got reference material in front of him. I call foul.
Hey, that's on you.
Taking my book champions and opening
That's
it in front
on
of
you
me.
for not bringing it up.
This man brought
22.5 and then
material.
45, and
You know,
guess who
that's
beat
the
him by
equivalent.
10 lengths?
He wants
Damascus.
a tough man fight. That's the equivalent of putting a roll of quarters in your fist.
Whatever works. Or a sock with a
gets the
silver
job
can
done.
in
We
it.
don't
We all
care.
know
Okay,
those.
who did she ever beat? Please help me out and name without looking
She
at your
beat-
book.
She
Without
beat
looking
the
at your
greatest
study
of
guide.
all
This is
time
not
when
an
she
open
set
book test,
stakes
AJ.
records
This is
every
not an open
time
book
she
test.
ran.
AJ, your only answer is
AJ,
everyone she.
Close the book. This is not an open book test. Close the book and tell me 2 horses that she ever beat. And I'm sure they were
Every
both named
stakes
nobody.
champion up until that point.
Please name 1 horse she ever beat that went on to distinguish
Mark's
themselves.
making me
Just one, please. Just one. And I'll concede this whole debate.
You what?
Name
saying
one
the
horse she ever beat
greatest
that
of
went
all
on to
time.
distinguish
Every
themselves.
time she ran in the stakes race.
That's not an answer, AJ.
Okay, finish it up, guys. You're about to be done.
Stakes race, 8 stakes records.
Should we go
All right.
close the
I
tape?
don't have an argument.
Should we go
All right.
close-
We're back.
And that's it. Round
We're
3
done.
is complete.
Round 3 is over.
We now
Stop
get
the
to
fight.
move on to deliberation, which is just between Randy and I with no interruptions.
Which is not going to happen. There's
Not
no
going to
shot.
happen. But let's start Randy, let's just start from the top with you.
Well, okay. First of all, I came into this I hate, and I think everybody does hate to say anything bad about Ruffian, and I think Ruffian is one of those horses that were. I mean, I don't know if Ruffian was ever asked to be whatever. Mark made a really, really good point, and I know it's the saddest point to make because Ruffian was built like, they say Zenyatta was big. Put Zenyatta on a Pittsburgh linebacker, like tall and giant. That's what
Ruffian was like Ray Lewis.
Ruffian was the same size as Dr. Fager.
Probably wider though. Probably wider than Dr.
You know what? Seriously, I got to give it to my man. He brought it strong. I was not expecting.
Yeah,
it.
He did. No, it's
not expecting it.
Yeah, we're happy. We're happy for him. And you guys, that was great. But
But did he win one round from me? Did he win one round?
Well, no, here's the thing. I tell you what, if you didn't bring that up, and this is what I'm going with, the fact of, and this is an awful, awful fact that we're talking about, which is really odd because I never thought of that. If she was, because I would say, if she was healthy and she was built to run at that size, since we're talking about a match race that day, I'm not saying because God forbid she would break down, but
with an injury with a hairline fracture, broke a stakes record at 108.
Yeah, no, but I think the point being, though, I'm saying is, I think the one big thing is, could she have run against a big time horse, which she did then, and get pushed and not break down? I don't like to say that out loud.
That's the sad, tragic part about it all, and I never considered it until I was underway and I was talking because I never rehearsed anything like this. And you know what? I don't think she would have made the course. So to me, that kind of invalidates the whole debate.
She runs,
at least in my mind.
It's funny because somebody said that to us about even like Vertical Threat, I believe, when he just had knee injuries. And I know we're bringing up Vertical Threat, but he just had knee injuries after his big win at Ohio, and he's had surgery yesterday. And somebody said those little horses like him that run really super hard sometimes get hurt like that.
They're basically prone to injury.
Like they're more like,
because they're so.
You know, Randy, I'm going to out myself as an extreme cynic when it comes to the party line and what prominent horsemen tell the press. When prominent horses they train go awry, when they break down. You go back on horses like Go for One, Growl Stark, Ruffian herself, and a whole lot more, and you wonder how good they might have been. Land of Loose, how good they could have been, how great they might have been. I don't believe in the one-step breakdown. And to my experience, thoroughbred problems start, they continue, they become chronic, horses run in pain, and I think it's a cumulative thing. And in her case, I would like to give Frank Whiteley the benefit of the doubt and say, you know what, her massive body, her legs just weren't built to handle that kind of speed from that kind of a frame. But,
and she wasn't going to run slower.
But I am skeptical. I think 90% of the time, I think the one-step breakdown is a myth. I think she had issues. And I think those issues were inevitably going to surface like they did in the gender thing.
As long as what I'm about to say doesn't carry over into the judge's decision, because I don't think it should. Even when you look at, whether it be bodybuilders or anybody who is, a big mass body frame, especially like offensive linemen, your joints do carry an extreme amount of pressure when you carry that sort of, mass, muscle mass, all of that stuff. So I do think there's something to be said as far as, career-wise. Ruffian, that wasn't the first time she was hurt when she did break down, against Foolish Pleasure. But again, like obviously that contributes to the injury fact. But again, best day, let's say both these horses don't break down, it's a match race. Who wins?
Well, that's what
I want to let the judges know.
Let me go on. Let me go on from that a little bit, because mentally, I mean, you have to put it mentally. And once again, I'm going to talk tragedy here, which is just sad for anybody. Mentally, Ruffian, what we're saying really is, Ruffian wasn't going to be just like any athlete or somebody who's injured is not going to run their hardest when they're hurt. She was.
She did.
I mean, we're talking about a horse that came out of anesthesia and tried to run more and basically ended up being her demise.
In my opinion, the whole thing is it's entertaining. I love doing it. AJ brought it strong, but to me, it's all just a little bit invalidated because of what did happen to her. I hated
Well,
you go there. It's going to be
It's
Mark Patterson
invalidated
going
because
negative
you
again.
said a mile and a quarter. You know that.
If she retired, listen. If she
No,
retired,
he would have absolutely drilled her. At scale
Drilled
weights,
her.
at scale weights, it would have been
Drilled
like taking
her?
the grandstand off the horse's back.
Come on.
43 and change,
Come on.
44 interior quarters and
Grandstand.
21. A mile and 32 and 1. Dr. Fager beat like 6 or 7 Eclipse winners.
I mean, but in
He
the
would've
Yes.
been race mirrors
AJ never brought up though, never asked,
pounds.
but she was never asked. That's true.
Well, yeah, but Randy, there's a dark
She
side.
ran a
of
mile
that.
one
There's
time.
and there is a flip side. There is a flip side. Just like you don't know how good a horse is until they're hooked and they're tested. You don't know what their weaknesses are until they are hooked and they are tested, sir.
Well, you don't
There's
lose
a
a call.
flip side to that,
Happening.
too. The fact that she was never tested, I can employ it against her in debate as readily as you can employ it on her behalf because, again, it's my belief thoroughbred horses are bullies. They never run better. They're never more effective when they're beating up on lesser opponents.
Never
They never
lost a
caught her
call.
the big
Why the
draw.
hell would she
She
lose
could
a
handle
call?
her speed.
Never going to lose a call in a mile and a quarter.
There have been other undefeated horses whose mystique lived long after them, but there has arguably never been a horse that rose to the heights under fire that Dr. Fager did in his 4-year-old season.
All right. Okay.
You know one reason you don't remember Dr. Fager in the same breath as Ruffian? It's because he never took the traditional route to thoroughbred fame. He never competed in the Triple Crown Classics. And back then, that was the only
Neither did
road to
Ruffian.
immortality. Thankfully now,
She
people
did the
know
triple
better.
tiara. What do you
People
mean?
know better.
Well, she didn't compete in the Triple Crown.
Well, she did the
And yet
Philly
Ruffian is
triple
still-
tiara.
She won the Philly crown, right?
Yeah,
tiara,
she did.
You
yeah.
said you
Yeah, well-
traditional, but clearly the fact.
Well, he
you
obviously couldn't
you
go
run
on the
in the
tiara,
triple
AJ.
tiara as opposed to the Triple Crown. I mean that's like
There's
saying
one thing Dr.
wait,
Fager had against
let me-
him.
let me-
I'll tell you what I'll do.
Let me ask a question. Were they? I don't think the Phillies were they allowed in the Kentucky Derby back then. I don't think they were. Were they?
Randy,
Were
AJ, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll tell you what I will do in the spirit of Christmas, because
You don't have to
nobody
do
watching
anything.
this.
You don't have to do anything. We've been waiting on these judges' deliberations for a while.
Nobody's going to watch this and not understand who won the debate or who the greater was. Okay, but I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do in the spirit of Christmas. Since you fought the good fight, my man, you brought it strong. If the judges will agree, I will offer you a draw.
Oh,
Whoa, this is like the Queen's
Wow,
Gambit.
all right,
This is
all
like
right,
Queen's
let's go.
Gambit when they
I will offer you,
draw.
my man, you brought it strong. I am proud of you. I will offer you a draw.
you're
No,
like you're like
no.
Bobby-
Well, here's the thing: is too.
You know
The
what?
judge,
You launched a noble and spirited argument on behalf of the great
ju-
following.
the judge is 100% too. I would agree at least.
All right, you know what
All
I'm
right,
gonna do?
100%
what are
against
you gonna
me.
do?
So I'm gonna go and I'm
Come on,
gonna
the draw, guys.
in the spirit of Christmas. I'll agree with the draw and I'll let the comments decide, and we'll
comments,
put
huh?
it down below. How
right.
about that, guys?
It's a draw in my mind, my man.
Mark.
Virtual fist bump.
All right.
All
Wow.
right, so now this is the time
It's up to the comments to let us know who will win this match.
You know what?
How this is gonna go.
Let's
For me, it's over, and it was highly enjoyable.
now let's
It was-
talk about it, having Mark on and talk about the other side real quick. But we always do really fast. Is so, Mark. I'm going to ask you. Do you think Ruffian was the best filly of all time?
You know what? Ruffian, to me, negates the whole best of all time thing, the whole GOAT thing, because she's a whole separate category. She is ephemeral. She is a dream. She's a mystique that transcends thoroughbred racing. But when you bring it right down to the dirt, like Ben Hogan said about his golf swing, the answer's in the dirt. How many balls he hit, how many balls he hit. I don't think she's going to fare so well in a debate against a horse like Dr. Fager. I think I was given the stronger of the two hands, probably. It might depend on who's listening, general public or racing experts. But to me, it's not even a fair debate to either horse in the sense that Ruffian's a dream. It's like Merlin said in Excalibur towards the end. He said, to some people I'm a nightmare, to others a dream. And Ruffian's a dream that transcends racing. So to bring her down to earth, to put her back in the dirt that she lost her life in an imaginary argument like this, you know what? It probably doesn't do her any great service. And she's in a separate category. So, you know what? I wouldn't dishonor her by trying to offer conjecture about whether she was the greatest filly of all time. She was what she was. And I think that speaks for itself.
Okay. All
You know
right.
what? You're asking a question without an answer, Randy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I knew that. I kind of wanted to see your angle on it because she is somebody we never saw the 4-year-old year. I always wonder if she just won that race and retired.
Yeah.
how we talk about it, how much different we would talk
I know.
about it. Would she
I
be
know.
justify all of a
Could have
sudden?
been. What might have been.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and just retired. Even won that race, never won another race.
Well,
You know what I mean?
When you and AJ played this off really, really well. When you debate against Ruffian, you don't just debate the horse. You debate the legend, the dream.
Yeah, yeah, and she was, and you know,
I got a flesh and blood horse, and I'm debating against the dream.
and honestly, more of a storybook horse. I mean, obviously with the tragic ending, than never losing a call. There's never been a horse like that. And then
You know what Frank Whiteley said the first time he legged a jockey up to work Ruffian? Do you know what he said? And this is absolutely true. He said,
He said,
Jock, you're getting on the greatest horse of all time.
yeah,
That's before she ever worked in earnest.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that was another angle, AJ, that I wanted to bring up. A first-time starter on 5.5 furlongs ran a 103 and
Track
broke
record.
the track record at Belmont. That
No.
is almost like just unheard of for anything.
You know the story behind Dr. Fager's name? And Dr. Fager was born to be an immortal, right from the inception of his name, which had nothing to do with horse racing. Nerude, who was the patriarch and the brain trust of Tartan Farm, I guess he had a surprise heart attack or some kind of a heart condition. And they brought in a surgeon who saved his life. And that surgeon could never have dreamt how his name would be immortalized or to what extent. His name was Dr. Fager. So there's quite a story behind Dr. Fager, too.
Oh, wow.
Never dreamt.
I did like, and let me ask you on that same note, where would you rank Dr. Fager against, like, you know, they have Dr. Fager Secretariat.
They do.
In match races. Now, match race is the format, correct?
Yes.
In match races, which put the emphasis on early speed, I'm not joking. I would take Dr. Fager over anybody. Dr. Fager against the world.
He's a tough horse.
Yeah,
As far as you know what, Dr. Fager was vulnerable if you double teamed him with the closer, and Frank Whiteley was good at this. He set rabbits out the 2 times that Damascus beat Dr. Fager, a horse named Hediver, and once I think a horse named Handsome Boy, and they were like champion sprinters in their own right. And they had one single job, whether this is fair or not, it's a whole another topic, to run as
Just
fast as they
the
could,
rabbits,
as far as
make
they
it
could,
up. Yeah.
to inconvenience and fatigue Dr. Fager as much as they could. So if you did that to Dr. Fager and put a top class closer behind him, not just top class, but an immortal closer behind him, like Buck Passer or Damascus, Dr. Fager was vulnerable. But if you put him into the match race format, to where it's speed on speed, mono-y-mono, just in my opinion, my humble opinion, Dr. Fager's the first pick for me. Dr. Fager goes first in the draft.
I feel like we have to have
He's the first lottery pick. I think we've exhausted both horses. I think they both need to retire to their stalls in heaven right now.
yes, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly, and hopefully, and honestly, for everybody out there, you know, this is one of the reasons why I did want to do Ruffian and these other horses, because I do want to do them justice, and even when we argue about them, we're still talking about them. And I think Ruffian's forgotten because we don't want to talk about it. But I think this is something that should be talked about, how great she was. And even Dr. Fager. I mean, that's a horse that's kind of forgotten. And we need to remember these horses a lot. And it's fun to bring them up. And we're learning a lot. I mean, I know AJ said the more he has to research these horses that he wasn't involved in horse racing at all, doesn't even know the history that well. Has to research them and do everything. We're learning a lot.
We had it today. Yeah, the facts today.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's been fun. I love doing this stuff.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah.
But yeah, so awesome debate, guys. That was a lot of fun.
I talk to a camera for a living. You know, 4 nights a week, 4 hours a pop. You know, I don't know what 30 some weeks a year. But it's the first time the camera ever talked back.
Here's the best part, because I want to do my invitation of Mark when he's on the air. He's just so
Mark's,
calm and cool, and the 7 here. He raced last time out. It looks like he was a flash and fade on the lead. Not a bad trainer. Coming back pretty quickly. That's always a good sign. We'll go on to the 8, and blah blah blah. Here he's like, you know what, AJ? I'm gonna.
Love it.
It's great. We see him, the real one.
I do a rant or two in a year too. Really.
Yeah, well, I heard you do a rant about Star Wars.
Yes.
We actually heard that one.
We heard the Star Wars rant.
Which is
Yeah,
great.
I can get a little worked up on a year. I can get a little worked up.
Yeah.
So that was great. Thank you,
Let
Mark
us know
Patterson.
in the comments. Yeah, big shout out
you,
to Mark. And happy holidays.
Happy holidays, everybody.
You guys.
Happy holidays, you, Mark. See you later.
Triple Clowns is a production of the team at Big Umbrella. Rate and review our podcast on Apple Podcasts. Send us your questions at tripleclowns@gmail.com and you may be featured on a future episode. Follow us on social media at ClownsTriple on Twitter and Instagram, and follow me, AJ Ryder, at Troy McClain WWE on Twitter. Like and subscribe to our show on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, or wherever fine podcasts are downloaded. All right, guys, for AJ Ryder, I'm out of here. See you later, everybody.